It was not my idea. Copy paste? Why do you exist? Oh, bless their hearts. They tried to make a villain song. I felt so bad for that ensemble. And then there's this rabbit, Benjamin Button Nightmare Fuel. Hi guys, welcome back to another Nerd Rants. I am going to preface this with I only went because someone invited me. I watched the movie. If you do not know what the movie is, you're probably very out of touch with the cinema society at the moment. This is the movie that everyone spaces up. Not like unofficially, like this is the movie that everyone unofficially said they would not watch and made Disney lose like I don't even know how much money it was. They made them lose like $1 million or something because this movie bombed so hard. So yeah, in case it wasn't super clear, I watched the live action Snow White. It was not my idea. I had no intention of watching this movie. I was fine not leaving it alone. I was like, cool, it's losing money. Maybe that'll give Disney a kick in the pants and they'll realize, hey, this isn't a good idea. We need to come up with some original content. I was like, cool, yes, about time, nice. And then one of my former coworkers reached out and went, hey, do you want to go see a movie with me? I was like, okay, cool, whatever, yeah, sure. And she went, have you seen Snow White yet? And I was just like, no. Why? And she just said, here's the showings for this theater. And oh my god. I was legitimately considering just going, actually, no. But like, I hadn't, like I said, former coworker. So I hadn't seen her since she was fired. Like we had talked via text, but I hadn't like seen her. So I was like, I should be like supportive friend here. So, against my better judgment, I went, okay, sure. So we went like 2-3 weeks ago or something like that, and we went to see it in theaters. So I apologize to everyone for contributing to the fact that it got a kind of money. Also, can't believe I'm about to say this. It was not as horrible as I thought it would be. Now, before you all scream at me in the comments, keep in mind, my expectations for this movie were buried in a coffin 6 feet under the basement. So, when I say it was not as bad as I expected, what I mean is, it's inside the cement, where it ended up actually landing was inside the cement floor of the basement. So it is still buried, but not quite as deep as I was expecting it to be. and we will like there are things to rant about. Let's put it this way. The reason it is in the floor of the basement, not below it, is strictly because they had Pasek and Paul doing the soundtrack. And even then, oh man, we're just gonna go into a rant about it. We're going to a rant about it. There is one song that I genuinely enjoyed, and it is in the first 5 minutes of the movie. It is before Rachel Zegler and all of those main characters show up on screen. It's wonderful. It has Broadway musical vibes. The ensemble is killing it. I will say, all this, Rachel Zegler is talented. I will give her that. But the ensemble was the highlight of the entire movie. They were doing so good. And it was choreographed pretty well, and there were some awkward lyrics, but not the entire song was an awkward lyric. So I genuinely enjoyed the first song, and it was just a fun, upbeat Broadway style song, and I really enjoyed it personally. I liked that song. And then there's how many songs are in this movie? There's 6 songs in the movie. First one is genuinely good. I enjoy it. There's the 2 songs with her love interest are kind of mid. They're kind of mid. They're not bad, but they're not the greatest songs. Princess Problems and Hand Touch a Hand. Princess Problems is probably better than Hand Touches a Hand, or whatever it's called. Because that one's just a little, I don't know if it's the beat or the lyrics or whatever it is, but it's not great in my opinion. But then Princess Problems is kind of a fun song. Also it's mostly Jonathan singing. Jonathan is also for the most part, the entire cast could sing. I have to admit that. They had some talented singers. The King, Snow White's father, also very good. He didn't even talk. They just made him sing. And I'm just yes! I genuinely enjoyed this guy's voice. So yeah, I have to admit the singers, just for the most part, we'll get into that later, for the most part were very talented singers. They're talented singers, and I can appreciate that. And it makes it unfortunate that they are now tied to this movie for the rest of their lives, but they're genuinely good singers. So yes, Princess Problems was more fun, and I think a little bit better than Hand Touches a Hand. There's also Waiting on a Wish, which is kind of the ballad Snow White's ballad song, and it replaces, what does it replace? I can't remember the title of her song at the beginning in the original. Dang it. Yeah, no, I'm literally blanking on the title. That's awful. It's awful that I'm blanking on the title of that song. But it replaces the original, first ballady song that Snow White gets when she's by the well. And it replaces that because they have, new themes or whatever in this movie. We'll save that for after. That one is also mid. It shows off Rachel Zegler's vocal ability, which I appreciate. It's cool, and it does make this song stand out just because of Rachel Zegler's singing ability. The lyrics are pretty good. So it's, the lyrics are pretty good. Her vocal ability is incredible. But it feels like they took Waiting on a Miracle from Encanto, just the vibe of the song. Not necessarily the sound of it, but the vibe of the song. It sounds like they took Waiting on a Miracle and This Wish from Wish and kind of like mashed the vibe together, and it just seems like a repeat of those songs, which we don't need more of those songs with the exact same vibe. I can't with it anymore. It's like the third movie that they're just like, hey, this protagonist, this female protagonist, copy paste with different appearance and a different plot surrounding it, copy paste. And so it just makes her feel like Asha or Maribel. Maribel is the superior out of all three of those, but like, it just gives her that vibe as a protagonist that she's just another like Asha or Mirabelle. Actually, no, she's just another Mirabelle, because Asha was just another Mirabelle as well. So, yeah, that was my real issue with that song. Like, in the context of the movie, it's very meh, and it just gives off those vibes. It's not a horrible song, like, independent of the movie. Most things are not horrible independent of this movie. So, yes, like, Waiting on a Wish is meh just because it feels like they're copy-pasting Maribel into another female protagonist, which, no. No, thank you. And then, there's also Whistle While You Work. That's the one song from the original that they kept, though there's not a whole lot of songs in the original, if I'm remembering right. It just might be those two songs, that first song, and then Whistle While You Work might be the only two songs. It's been a hot minute since I've watched the original Snow White. I probably should have watched it in preparation for this video, but oh well. So they redid Whistle While You Work. Again, Rachel Zegler's vocal ability is fine, but like, they changed the whole vibe of the song, so it's also very meh to me. We can't diss on Rachel's vocal ability because it is insane, but yeah, just, I don't know. And it's also the fact that it's from the original, but it's in such a, it's in a remake, and a remake that has so much like baggage and crap behind it, and so it just sours the entirety of that experience with it as well. So, so yeah, it's meh. And then there's two other songs, so there's 7 songs actually. I forgot Whistle While You Work was in it. There's 7 songs, and the last 2, I hate them. I really, really don't like them. It's bad. So they took the Hi Ho song from the original that the dwarfs, you know, sing, hi ho, I'm off to work we go, whatever. They took that, the little anthem, whatever that they sing while they're marching off to the mines, and they lengthened it, they made it longer, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Again, I have to respect the voice actors for the dwarves with their singing ability. Like, Happy hits just a wonderful note. But the song is so bad. It's awful. They're making puns about all of the dwarves' names as like an introduction, but like they're not clever and they're not subtle, and it's just awful. It's like Sleepy almost falls off a cliff and they yank him over and save his life, and they're just singing, he's sleepy, and everyone goes, we know! And I went, why do you exist? Just, it's awful. I legitimately hate it. It's so bad. It's so bad. So yeah, that made me cringe. I was sitting in the theater wishing I could fast forward. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. After that first pun that introduced Sleepy, I was like, nope, it's done. We're done. Can I fast forward, please? Like, you don't need to make those kinds of puns to introduce the dwarves. Just make them do the things that gave them their name. Like Sleepy was falling off a cliff because he fell asleep. Obviously, he's sleepy. And Doc has glasses, so that differentiates him. Dopey is the most unique looking of the dwarves, so we don't need to necessarily introduce him that way, and they don't with him or Doc. Like Grumpy has a fair, like, you could so easily introduce which dwarves are which just by giving them their character, but they didn't. They felt the need to make the song introduce them, and I hated it. And I didn't even remember who was who half the time because I didn't care. So yeah, I hated that song. I hate that song. And then, oh, bless their hearts, they tried to make a villain song, which I will give them props. It was actually like a villain-esque song. It had the vibe of a villain song versus like This Is the Thanks I Get or like Shiny or Get Lost. None of those sound like villain songs, even though they are the villain song of the movie. None of them sound like villain songs. And this one actually kind of sounded like a villain song, but the lyrics were awkward. Like I didn't like the lyrics. Because the whole thing is, all is fair when you're the fairest of them all. That was literally the great climactic chorus line, and I was cringing the whole time. It was so bad. And I had no offense to Gal Gadot. Get some voice lessons. Like, she hit the last note. I will give her that. She hit the last note. But, oh, sweetie. Don't quit your day job to become a singer, please. Especially when you put her up against Rachel Zegler, and I don't know the actor's name for Jonathan, and The King, and that ensemble. When you put her up against that, even Happy, I don't know his voice actor's name either, but even Happy, it's just, it makes her song so disappointing because her vocal ability is just not at the same level as all of them. Not saying she couldn't get to that level, but where she was at when they recorded this and filmed this movie, it was not at all at the same level as everyone else in this movie, which was just, it was so sad because they actually tried to make a villain song that was an actual villain song. So, no, I hated it. The concept of the song was good. She's like, I am the fairest of them all, I am the queen, therefore I can do whatever the heck I want. And you can't do squat about it. So that concept, cool, you can make a good villain song about that. But they didn't, they missed the mark, and it made me sad. It made me so sad, and poor Gal Gadot, I'm sorry, but you were stacked up against impossible odds and clearly not given enough vocal lessons to prepare for something like that. Nope, it was disappointing, and it was almost more so because with the vibe and the way they did like the music and the the concept they were attempting to make the song about, there was potential for us to have a good Disney villain song for the first time in so long. I don't even remember the last villain song we got that was actually good and not like a cover of the original from a remake. I legitimately don't remember the last villain song we got, which is really depressing. Like, good villains are peak. Good villains are peak. So yeah, that was really depressing. Like, the Hi-Ho song made me absolutely furious, and I didn't like it. And then the villain song was just so sad and disappointing. It was so sad. So yeah, those are the songs. There was one that I genuinely enjoyed, and then the rest were mid or awful. So that's, yeah. Yeah. It's depressing. And definitely not unexpected. What's unexpected is the fact that I actually enjoyed one of the songs. So yeah, there's that. And then, oh goodness. We'll talk about this first because I'm already on the topic of Gal Gadot. Again, I mean no offense to Gal Gadot, but I feel like she is a type actress. There are some characters that she can play, and there are characters that she can't. She's kind of like Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds, you know, he goes around and he plays characters that are himself, and he's good at picking those roles and finding those roles and like making those roles so that he, you know, fits the character and does a good job and whatever else. So he does that. I think she is like that as well, not necessarily like playing herself necessarily. I don't know enough about Gal Gadot to know whether she's playing herself or whatever. So yeah, I think she's more like that as well. And she's not a villain actor, guys. She's not a villain actress. She's just not. She was so unintimidating. Like, I had to give props to the actor for the Huntsman for pretending so well to be intimidated by this woman, because she just wasn't. She wasn't. Like, the whole scene where she's assigning him to go kill Snow White, he's doing well. Like, he is expressing the emotions he should be expressing in the situation where there's an intimidating, seemingly all-powerful queen telling him to go murder a young girl and bring her heart back. And then there's Gal Gadot, who is staring in this mirror with a very flat expression. And she wasn't intimidating in any way. And like, there was no emotion behind a lot of the delivery of her lines. And I think it's because she was trying to be villainous and like ominous and very stoic and play it that way, but it just felt bland and flat, and like she was this emotionless animatronic basically playing this villain. And so it was so sad. Even when she showed emotion, like, I didn't believe her anger because she's just not intimidating. And I don't think she has it in her to be intimidating. I'm just like, oh, sweetie. Forgive my names for people. I work at a daycare. I call people sweetie, dude, ma'am, girlfriend. It's a habit. So yeah, she's not a villain actress, and it's not good, guys. It's really not good. So yeah, props to the Huntsman actor for acting intimidated when there's literally no reason that he would be intimidated. I'm sorry. I would not be intimidated by that. Yeah. Probably best actors in this movie are the actress for the Huntsman and the actor for Jonathan. I think they did a good job. I mean, obviously Rachel Zegler did well. I think she was definitely better with, well, I don't know if it was better with this, well, it probably was better with the singing than the acting, for, you know, behind the scenes reasons, which we'll get into after. That'll be the end. We'll save that stuff for the end. So I think she put more of her heart into the singing aspect of it versus the acting aspect of it, and you could see that come through with her kind of indifference toward this character that she's playing. So it just kind of fell flat sometimes. And then Jonathan, I think the actor actually had some fun with that character because, and you could tell because there was better quality in his acting, I feel like. And then the huntsman did very well, and was like, props to you, sir, for bringing so much quality and skill into this character that has very few scenes, and I'm so sorry that you were tied to this movie for the rest of your career, because he did so good. So yeah, that's as far as the acting goes. The rest is like, I don't necessarily blame those are like the only main actors that we get, and the rest of them, I feel like I blame any poor performance on the writing because they were just not given the best lines. And so sometimes it's hard to deliver a good performance with very bad lines. So that's probably the main stuff I'm gonna talk about with the acting and all of that. The other thing that I want to note is the frickin' wardrobe. Guys, I can't with the wardrobe of this movie. Whoever did the costume design for the live action Snow White, what were you actually thinking? Like, I love the ensemble's vocal, like they did wonderful, but their wardrobe was awful. I hated it. They had, like, the women had weird gaudy wrap things on their head, which having a head wrap, fine, but they went like out and had swirls and were like up in weird shapes. I couldn't do it. It was so gross looking. It was legitimately gross looking. And then we have the bandits because we switched the prince love interest with the bandit love interest, which, yeah, whatever. And so we have this group of bandits, and they look like they're a bunch of teenagers from the early 2000s or something. Like, they're not, I think it's Quick is his name. He was the most like, you know, medieval-esque style wardrobe I think they had in the entirety of the, I couldn't, it was so bad. I felt so bad for that ensemble having to wear all of that. It was bad. And then they were going so overly accurate with the Queen and Snow White's outfits that they didn't take into account how it would look on the actress they were putting it on. So Gal Gadot, she doesn't look awful. She's okay, but she's just not intimidating. So it's not just the wardrobe's fault. It's still meh as a costume, but it wasn't bad. And then we have Snow White. I have nothing against this race change, honestly. I'm over it. I am over it. They like gave a different meaning for her name, so it worked, and I was like, fine, whatever. I'm just over it. That is not the issue that I'm going to sit on in this movie. Do I like that they keep remaking things and changing the race of people even if it doesn't necessarily make sense? No, I don't. I don't enjoy it, but I'm just over it at this point. So yeah, but they changed like the complexion of their heroine, but they keep all of the color scheme and everything exactly the same to the original cartoon. And they don't take into account, hey, she's got a different complexion. There's going to be different things that look better on her compared to the original dress, because the original dress was designed for a very pale woman with you know, her black hair. Rachel Zegler is a darker woman with brown hair. There's a very different color palette that goes with those two appearances. And they did not take that into account. They just made like, an accurate dress, and they put it on her and went, this will be fine. This is what people want. And we go, no, you idiots, that's not what we're complaining about. She comes over this hill to have this reveal of the dress, and it was the most underwhelming reveal I have ever seen. I know people have issues with like Belle's dress in the live action. This was so much worse. I could not do it. Like, the color palette did not work with Rachel Zegler's like complexion. I'm sorry, it didn't. It was so bright and all of that, and it just didn't work with, like, it was not in her color palette, clearly. Like, yellow, that bright yellow, it did not go with her color palette. It didn't. I'm sorry, it was bad. The blue might be passable, like the red for sure is passable, but it's such a tiny part of her outfit. And the blue, if it was a slightly different shade, would probably work, but the yellow did not. And the yellow is a majority of what the dress is made up of. And I just couldn't get over it. Like, every time it came on screen, you like get to see that whole dress and like, oh, it was just so underwhelming every single time. And I was just like, why? You can, the wardrobe is not what we were complaining about in the previous remakes. It's not, except probably, I guess, in Beauty and the Beast. But that was not the problem. The problem was how you changed things and how you, So then you take this and you change everything except the wardrobe, the one thing that, considering your casting, should be changed, and you just don't, and it just looks, and you're surprised if people think it looks bad? Serious, the dress was not doing Rachel Zegler any favors, and neither was her haircut. I'm sorry, but that girl is not supposed to have a bob like that. Like, there are people who can pull off a bob like that. Cool, yeah, props to you. Rachel Zegler is not one of them. They could have made it cut short and like wavy in a way, so like I feel like even if it was that short, but like the wavy hair, that would have worked way better for her, because the Lord Farquaad haircut was bad. It was bad. Like, when it was wet or like blown or whatever, so you couldn't see it just like hanging there, it looked better because it was like blowing and it had like dimension or something or whatever to it. And then when she was resting and it was just like, ew, just ew. It was gross. It was gross. Ugh. So yeah, I couldn't with the wardrobe. It was awful. Everyone's wardrobe was just bad. Everyone's wardrobe. Even the huntsman had this weird hat, and I like didn't understand what his outfit was supposed to be. And like the knight's armor was weird, like their visors or whatever. It was just weird because they had these visors that flipped down over their eyes. So then they needed a slit, which then negates the purpose for the visor. And I was like, what the heck is this helmet? Just make it flip down past the eyes and have like a mouth guard, because that would be way more effective from whatever this eye slit visor thing is. What the heck? I have no idea what this costume designer was doing, but like, please fire her, him, whoever they were. Then just no, everyone looked so bad, and I felt so awful for the ensemble. Don't mind me, holding this ensemble very close to my heart. I love them very much. They were the bright spot in this entire movie, was that frickin' ensemble with their vocals. And I feel so bad for them. Thankfully they're all like extras, so they could go on to do things outside of this movie and not necessarily be tied to it. Of course, they probably have to put it on their resume, but like, this poor ensemble. So yeah, wardrobe was not it. It was awful. I did. Sometimes it made me want to vomit. Okay. We covered music, acting, wardrobe, the CGI. We also need to cover the CGI. Oh my gosh, guys, when I tell you that I saw the teaser trailer with the CGI dwarves and I wanted to throw something and be like, what the frick are you doing, Disney? And the more I learned about how they ended up there, the madder I got. What the actual frick? We'll get into the dwarves later because it's a rant. Okay. I will say, the dwarves look better than the one shot in the teaser trailer, but I think it's because everything around them was also CGI'd at the same quality, and so they just looked as bad as everything around them. Like the animals, they tried to make them like more Disney style, even though these animals don't have to emote and they don't have to talk, and so why would you go through the effort of making them more characterized? Like, you should have spent that time on the live action Lion King versus in this movie where they're just animals. They're literally just animals. I get why you have to CGI them because they do things that normal animals don't do, and you can't necessarily train birds to like lead someone somewhere. But they made the eyes more Disney style where they're bigger. And then the rest of it was photorealistic, and it was just gross. And it was gross. It was gross. The worst one was this rat, because the rest of, like, there was this deer, and its eyes were a little too big, but it still had, like, the black kind of deer eye. And then there's this rabbit. There is this, like, red-brown rabbit that has the bigger eyes, and he has, like, human irises and pupil. He has like a human eye stuck in his bunny eye socket, and I don't like it. It's so gross, and he shows up more than once, and every time he comes on screen, I'm like, ew. This is a lot of my reaction to the things in this movie. They just come on screen and I have to cringe or vocally go bleh. It's why'd they do this to my poor cute forest animals? I think the best CGI'd part is when she's running through the woods and the trees are all trying to grab her and they come alive and blah, 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 and that's because it's dark, so you can't necessarily see all the details of what's happening. But that was probably the best CGI'd moment in the whole movie, because I couldn't see if it was bad or not. So yeah, the animals are just gross, and obviously they didn't, it's Disney in 2025. They did not go shoot this in an actual forest, so I'm sure half of that is CGI, and the whole cottage and blah, 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 all of that, because why would we put the effort into having sets and going to locations and blah, 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 when we can have a giant budget so we can just put them in this green room and have them CGI everything around them? If I'm wrong and they actually like went to a location, cool, correct me, but I really don't think Disney would. So yeah, especially when you have her sitting in that little forest with all the animals coming out, and suddenly the sun rises and it's hitting the lighting perfectly, and blah, they didn't do that on an actual location. So yeah, everything's CGI around the dwarves. So therefore the dwarves look better? Question mark? They still looked bad. Like, poor Dopey. Because he's like, appearance-wise, the youngest of the dwarves, right? Because he doesn't have a beard, he's got the more smooth skin, whereas like the other dwarves, they have beards and they have like some wrinkles and whatever else going on. But, so it's most prevalent on Dopey. I feel like they over-textured the skin on the dwarves. Like, there's textures showing on their faces that you would not see with the human eye from the distance they are standing from the other character. Like, you could see all their, like, pores and like, when you look really close at your hand and you see all the lines from where your skin stretches, you could see all of it on their faces. Like their faces were probably the most CGI'd part, and they don't show their hands a whole lot. It's mostly their faces, but that's because their heads are disproportional to their bodies and it's gross looking. But it's so textured. Like I wouldn't pick that up with the human eye. Like you put so much effort into that. It's like, oh cool, lots of detail, but it's too much detail. So it makes them look like kind of creepy Benjamin Button babies. Like, do you remember Benjamin Button? He ages backwards, and so he was born an old man and then died a baby. It's weird stuff like that. So he looks like this, they look like these weird, like over wrinkled, over textured, like backwards aging babe. Oh, it was gross. It was gross. So like they're not awful when you compare them to the rest of the world around them. But when you look at their faces, they're so like overly textured, and I can't do it. It's bad. It's really bad. So yeah, they're gross looking, and and they had a little side plot where Dopey is afraid to speak, and then by the end of the movie, he learns to use his voice, and like I'm not against that little side character arc thing. But every time I look at Dopey, I can't. It's so gross looking. So yeah, that's my CGI rant. That's my CGI rant. I think that covers the basis for the most part. Now we just have the rant about the behind the scenes stuff. Okay, we'll keep on the dwarfs for a minute. They had little people. Then they decided we need to make them diverse. They all need to be LGBTQ people. And people went, no, idiots, that's not a good plan. Why would you do that? So they scrapped that, went back to little people. Peter Dinklage, who is the little person actor, he is all of those characters, goes, that's offensive, don't cast them for that purpose. And so they redefine dwarf as magical creature and CGI them entirely into Benjamin Button nightmare fuel. And I'm just going there, what the heck are you doing? Yes, you can categorize them as magical creatures, whatever else. You're still taking 7 jobs away from little people actors. Like, little people actors don't have that many roles that they can get to play because people don't write those characters. And so you just stole work from 7 little people actors. And then, this is the best part. This is the best part for me. Remember the Rebel Quick that I talked about having the only like medieval style garb in the entire cast? He's also a little person. It made me so mad. He showed up on screen. Like, he has like, I'm Master of the Cross or whatever else, and he's aiming a slingshot at Snow White, and then she turns around and goes like, that's not a crossbow. And I saw he was a little person. And we were lucky we were in a movie theater because I am very composed in public. I was pissed. I'm like, you are going to steal 7 jobs from little people actors. 7 of them. And yet you will still cast 1 to be this rebel. What is, oh my gosh. I was pissed off. It's not even okay. And I'm sitting there going, okay, even if you categorize them as magical creatures, why not have little people play them? Like, look at the Narnia movies. They were just people. They were playing magical creatures. They were playing minotaurs. They were playing the centaurs. They were playing the fawns. And they just had, like, they either had practical effects masks or they had their butts CGI'd. Like, they were just people with their butts CGI'd. And there were little people actors playing the dwarves. So what is the issue with this again? Like, why is this offensive? Explain to me in a logical manner why the heck casting 7 little people, bringing diversity into your cast is offensive. Say what you want, that was the most that was the most infuriating part of this entire controversy about this movie, was that. I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about certain things in the movie industry, especially nowadays. Like, it's ridiculous. The other things are Rachel Zegler's comments about the original movie. And people who, you know, are very much like pro Rachel Zegler and like the Snow White movie in general are like, oh, they're taken out of context. And while I'm like, okay, cool, true. They probably are taken out of context. But the comments are still disrespectful to the original story. She is allowed to have her opinion about the original movie. She is allowed to be not necessarily love the Snow White movie. That's fine. I'll admit, Snow White is not my favorite OG Disney movie. Like, she's not my favorite Disney princess. And that's not a bad thing. I can have that opinion, but I can still have that opinion and be respectful to the original content. Instead of flying off the handle, going around the prince is a stalker, even though, guys, be real. If you were walking through the forest and you heard the most beautiful voice you've ever heard singing, would you not go find out who it is? Honestly, would you not go and at least like peek and see where this voice is coming from? I mean, not everyone would join in, but you know, Disney movie. But you would at least go find out who the heck it is. I would. Am I a stalker for that? I know. And then I also love that one of her comments is, we're not focusing on the love story. And that was, guys, that was 90% of the film. That was 90% of the film. Yes, they're not always talking about it, but that was 90% of the film. There was less romance in the original. In the original, she meets the prince. They have their like, oh, true love, love at first sight moment, which is, you know, like normal for those original early Disney movies. I do appreciate some of like the fleshing out of the Disney prince and Disney princess relationships in live actions. That's really the only thing that I can appreciate, is that they take more time with the relationships and like build the characters together a little bit. But they have their like, oh, you're my true love moment. And then at the end, he saves her. And that's the only romance that we have. But in this one, because we, you know, are building this relationship, there's almost more of a focus on the romance than in the original. And therefore, she's doing the opposite of what she said they wanted to do with it. So yeah, like, I get that the comments are probably taken out of context because people, especially on the internet, love to do that. They love to be like, oh, this fits my view and this fits my view. Put them together in a little clip montage and there you go. They said this. And it's like, yes, it's out of context, so take it with a grain of salt. But also, she did say those things. She did say things that are disrespectful to the original movie, which is not okay. And like, I saw one that had is, again, they are taking these things out of context, so take them with a grain of salt. But we had someone comparing how the other live action princesses talked about their characters and talked about their stories versus how Rachel Zegler was talking about it. And they brought a lot of respect into it. And they were talking about, like, one of the actress for Aurora, Elle Fanning, I believe, was talking about the strength in femininity of her character, in the softness, in the wanting to be married, wanting to have love, and she talked about the strength of that, which is beautiful, and I loved that. And just bringing a lot of respect into how they discussed things, and, you know, just very respectful way of talking about the original stories, even if they didn't necessarily enjoy the character. Maybe they still brought that respect into it when they were talking about it in public, because there are a lot of people that do love those projects. Even if they're not your favorite, there are a lot of people that do enjoy them. And so having that respect for it in public, despite necessarily your own opinions about it. And then Rachel Zegler didn't have that at all. There was no sense of respect in her voice for the original movie. And that's because her opinion is she doesn't like it. And so bringing that into it and her opinion into all of her comments about this, and ignoring the fact that there are thousands of people who grew up with Snow White, who love the original Snow White story, and she's just bashing on it. And not even necessarily, even if the comments themselves don't necessarily have this like disrespectful, I don't know what word I need to use for that. Whether, even if what she's like saying per se isn't disrespectful, the way she is talking about this and the way she's talking about this character, it comes across as disrespectful. And I don't know how to describe that beyond that. But like, there was just a very extreme difference watching snippets of other actresses talking about their Disney princesses and Rachel Zegler talking about her princess. So there was just a very big difference, and I feel like the reason that this movie bombed so hard is because she didn't handle the PR side of it very well, and she was more flippant with her words, and therefore that turned so many people who love the original story against her. So it's not, yeah. That's my thoughts on that. That's all I have for that. Last comments, I will just say, the movie was, I feel like the plot was a little all over because they were trying to stay true to the original story and go through all of that. And then they tried to add a whole like battle thing, which had a whole anticlimactic ending, and where she was just like, I remember you. Do you remember how it was? And they all just go, yeah, and they drop their weapons and turn on the queen. It was very anticlimactic. She literally, oh, I do need to talk about this. I'm sorry, I do need to talk about this. They start the movie. They go through the whole prologue, parents are dead, whatever else, and they start it, going into the like plot of her grown up, with them going, the queen locked her away. It's like the people had come to like forget that there ever was a princess named Snow White. And then at the end, she walks into this town of people that she has not seen and have not seen her for an actual, like a literal decade. She throws back her hood and starts walking toward the castle, and they all follow behind her, singing, because it's not actual words, but they're singing like this musical riff from the first song, which I love the ensemble. Hearing it was epic. The context of it made no sense. But they're just singing, following this princess who we admitted in the beginning of the movie they had basically forgotten existed, who they hadn't seen for 10 years. So how would they know what the heck she looks like? Jonathan breaks into the castle and starts talking to her about Snow White, having no idea that's who she is. So why the heck is the entire village following her to the castle as if they know who she is? And then the whole anticlimactic, just like I remember who you are, this is who you were, and I'm not entirely against that, but it was not done well, and just, the ending was so anticlimactic, and I didn't like it. So yeah, but anyway, plot-wise, it felt like they took the original plot, obviously went through that, and then for the extra stuff that they added, it felt like they took Mirror, Mirror, which I've talked, and Snow White and the Huntsman, two other live-action remakes of Snow White. It felt like they took those and mashed them together, because falling in love with a bandit, that is Mirror, Mirror. The way the queen dies in this one, that is Snow White and the Huntsman. They took aspects from these other remakes, so not even their own ideas anyway, and mashed them together, threw them in the plot of the original movie, and went, that'll work. And yep, nope, this is awful. It was bad. It was the worst live action remake they've made. And the only redeeming qualities were the first song and that lovely, lovely ensemble. That was the only redeeming qualities in this entire movie. They blew everything else. Like they, oh. I'm not gonna rant about it anymore or else I'll go on like forever. So those are my thoughts. If you want to discuss more and rant more in the comments, share your opinions about this movie, drop all of those thoughts in the comments. I will gladly join you down there and just go off for days. I post videos on this channel on Saturdays and I post videos on my audiobook channel on Thursdays. I'll see you all next time.